How's it going, YouTube? Oxley here and welcome back. So yeah, today's video I'm gonna be giving a recommendation on what I consider an underrated masterpiece of a series. Of course, being October, it's spooky season, so thought it'd be appropriate timing to show it off and talk about it, and that is, of course, ToddMcFarlanesSpawn. For the unaware, Spawn is a comic book character, the birth child of Todd McFarlane. He is not a Marvel or DC character. He is Image Comics, which is like the third biggest comic book producer. Of course, Marvel and DC are way bigger, but yeah, nonetheless, yeah, it's he's a comic book character. The story follows Al Simmons, right? Our, military. He works for, like, secret agency, doing the government's dirty work. He gets betrayed by his superior, is sent to hell, makes a deal with the devil, Malboja, and returns. In the deal, he sells his soul to be able to see his wife again. And of course, any deal with hell is not as it seems. He comes back, and yeah, he is brought back as a hell spawn. As you can see, like the art here, that's what the character looks like. And yeah, I mean, so to put a little context, so again, Spawn was big in the 90s. That's when the character came out. They had a movie, which admittedly isn't that great, even though it was ahead of its time in the sense that it was one of the first, if not the first, superhero movie that was, the main character was a black person. Of course, Spawn being played by Michael Jai White. But yeah, Spawn's just one of those, he's like that, one of those 90s, like, edgy characters, but he survived over the years. I mean, most recently, he's a guest character in Mortal Kombat 11. And yeah, Spawn, like, the mythos, everything is really cool. And, the animated series, in my opinion, is just the best version of Spawn. Just entertainment, so video games, the comic books themselves, the movie. This is the best version, and this is the one you should check out. So, I watched it. Of course, I own the physical, the animated collection. It's called the Signature Edition. Brings the full 18 episodes. It's split up into 3 seasons, so 6 episodes a season. Yeah, so just a disclaimer, this is how I watched it. It was an HBO original, so it is on HBO Max, so if you're a subscriber to them, I highly recommend you check it out. Great show. And yeah, just gonna get into it. Not any major plot points. Obviously, go see it for yourself. But yeah, it was 18 episodes. It was done shortly after the movie, because the movie tried to be more like for all audiences, PG-13. So, ironically enough, the cartoon, the animated, became the more mature, like genre pushing material. But yeah, it's a great series. It's really, so obviously we see Spawn, but it's just much more than that. Again, it's more mature, so if you're, if you don't like violence, blood, sex, like that sort of thing, it's not for you. But I love it. I just love the unfiltered, like, I don't know how to say it, just like we get the story as real as it can be, and so of course we're introduced to Al, and just like in the comics, he's a hellspawn. He's kind of like an amnesiac, or like he doesn't, his memories aren't fully there, so he's like piecing together his past, like, who am I? Why do I look like this, right? Like, why am I wearing this suit and all that? And yeah, it's like, I love about the show that it's like a crime thriller, because later you get introduced to Sam and Twitch. you know, your typical buddy cop duo, you know, Straight Arrow, they're the good guys, you know, they're not corrupt as, you know, you get into it. And yeah, I just love the whole, like, it starts off as like a crime thriller, of course it has the supernatural elements, and I just love the psychological stuff too of like the flashbacks Al gets, and you know, you start to learn his backstory of how he was military, he got betrayed, he came back for Wanda, his wife, and you just get like that sort of torment, you know, the stuff that hell is really like playing with him, or like what they did, because he's brought back like 5 years after his death, so Wanda has moved on, you know, with his best friend Terry, and yeah, you just get to see that sort of like Spawn has to like almost like, it's like he's starting over, you know. Al Simmons is dead, and he is, you know, he has his memories, but he's like a new person essentially, and he just has to come to terms with that, you know, of like losing everything, like your love, your family, and you know, just questions too of like Terry has a child with Wanda, Cyan, and it's like you find out that Al could never bear a child, you know, he was infertile, so you know, you can see like it plays with that, it plays with like the more human side of Spawn. Then of course you have great characters like Violator, who's essentially like, he's a demon from hell. Yeah, back here. Well, there's Clown, Violator, and he's essentially like sent by Malbolgia to monitor Spawn, to watch over him, you know, guide him, so he does, you know, hell's bidding, right? Like a lot of just killing and all that sort of thing. And yeah, he's like the comic relief. He's pretty funny. And then, of course, you have, like, Jason Wynn. He was the head of the agency. He's essentially the guy that got Spawn killed. And, of course, throughout the series, you, like, see, like, how, you know, they're, like, the agency, the mob, that sort of side is, like, trying to figure out, like, what, like, who's killing, you know, who's picking off their men and, like, essentially like running Rat City. You know, this is where this takes place, essentially the Spawn's universe version of New York, because they name drop like Brooklyn and like, you know, like other neighborhoods, so it's like it's New York. But yeah, and how could I not mention the animated series was the introduction of Keith David, just outstanding performance as the voice of Spawn, which he would voice again, like just recently Mortal Kombat 11, and as I have here, in Soul Calibur 2, Spawn was the exclusive character for Xbox, you know, tying it all back, and Keith David was the voice here as well, so, you know, dope to see. And yeah, it's just a great series, like I said, if you love, like, crime shows, you know, like Law and Order, that sort of thing, because there's the subplots of, like, Sam and Twitch, and then figuring out, like, you know, who's killing, you know, all these killings, like, the alley murders, like, what's going on. And the show isn't afraid to, like, shy away from some pretty dark stuff. Like, in the first season, we're introduced to, like, Billy Kincaid. He's a child killer, and they suggest a little more. You know, YouTube can't really talk about it, but let's just say he's very fond of children, if you catch my drift.
Time to have that ice cream. Such a pretty one. Do you like the music? I like the music very much. Would you like to dance? Just you and me. But first... ice cream. You scream, we all scream for ice cream. Chocolate pecan, strawberry whirls. Very.
But yeah, it's like that whole scene, or like how that plays out, it's pretty creepy in some instances. And like, here, I guess if I can give some episode recommendations, like, out of the 18, I think, see the episode 6, episode 9, which would be season 2, episode 3, and then season 3, episode 5, so 17 are some of my favorites. If I had to pick a favorite season, it'd be season 3. But again, that's with all the context and everything going on, so you'd have to watch everything to really understand it, like how everything plays out. But yeah, it's a great show, very cinematic. Like, again, for animation, it does, like, it's like a very traditional, like, crime sort of thing. And then, again, it's all, like, conspiracy, too, where, like, Sam and Twitch are figuring out that, you know, like, the Jason Wynn, the agency, he's got, like, the cops on his payroll, even got friends high up in, like, you know, the Senate, like, the president. You get the idea, like, it's, like, a huge, like, conspiracy sort of thing. And then you tie into, like, heaven and hell and, like, how, you know, Al is, like, in the middle of all this and how he has to deal with it. Like, he just wants to be left alone, you know, get his family back, essentially. But, of course, he can't have that. And, yeah, the series is just, I love it. Again, if you're somewhat interested in Spawn, in my opinion, this is the best just form of Spawn there ever has been to date. I don't think there has been a better one yet. I mean, again, like comics, like here I have King Spawn, first new series in like over 20 years, because of course just Spawn is like, it's a world record holder now as the longest running independently owned comic book with over 300 issues. This one is again a new series, King Spawn, and yeah, I mean Spawn, like you can see you got Gunslinger. It's like, I don't know, what I love about the character is that just he's like, he's very malleable, the sense that like you can really do anything with them, because you know, Spawn is one of many, so you can really have like Gunslinger Spawn in the past. Of course, there's medieval Spawn, and you get the idea. It's like you can put him in any time period, essentially any story, if you will, and like, you know, the character works. That's what I love about it. And yeah, I got all this stuff here. Like here we got this is my unopened original, you know, 94 Spawn figure. And you know, it's old when it wasn't called McFarlane Toys, Todd Toys, and yeah, like, happy to own this. Again, it's sealed, never opened. It's not worth a lot, you know, again, back in the 90s, Spawn was pretty crazy, so there's a lot of these out there, you can find it. But yeah, if you need something to watch, like, again, in this spooky season, and you're tired of all the mainstream garbage that's been put out, seriously, I highly recommend it. Great show. It's a great watch. Again, only 18 episodes. Like, you could binge this in a day. You know, I think it would be like, I don't know, roughly like 6 hours, maybe 7. We watched that all in one day. Again, I watched the physical, so each disc is a season, right? Like 6 episodes. So I just watched it over the course of like 3 days, you know, like a season a day. And yeah, definitely worth it. Again, if you're craving for something more thought-provoking, mature, highly recommend it. I think you'll love it. And yeah, like I said, just be warned, it's not for kids. So, you know, if you're concerned about that, you know, don't just be mindful of that. But yeah, Spawn, you know, he's really having a comeback, and there's rumors that they are interested in like doing another animated series, or I've heard 2, like one targeted for children, and then one similar to this, more for adults. And yeah, I hope they do. It'd be awesome if they just kind of continue this, or even if it's like a reboot, but still, like, this is like the blueprint they should follow. But yeah, guys, that was just my video. Got all the Spawn stuff, you know. Let me know what you think. Have you ever heard of the series? Do you even know who the character is? As you can tell, I'm a fan by all this stuff. But yeah, I highly recommend it. Definitely check it out, guys. It's, you know, I genuinely think it's worth it, and you'll love it. But as always, I've been your host, Oxy. Take care, everybody.